Dawn breaks over the Arabian Sea in shades of copper and ash. At the ramparts of Vijaydurg, the iron fort, carved from black basalt and centuries of defiance, a solitary figure stands motionless against the salt wind. Kanhoji Angre, Supreme Admiral of the Maratha fleet. For 15 years, these waters have answered to his will. Below him, his grabs and gallivats ride the morning swell in quiet formation, their hulls slick with brine, their pennants barely stirring. He knows every current, every hidden reef, every treacherous channel between here and the horizon. This sea is not merely his domain, it is his weapon. Then, from the stone steps below, a messenger arrives. Breathless, urgent. Kanhoji's gaze does not waver, but something behind his eyes shifts. The stillness of a man who already suspects the storm that is coming. He arrives before dawn, his dugout canoe beached silently among the mangrove roots, salt-crusted, trembling, smelling of brine, and 3 days without sleep. A fisherman, one of dozens woven invisibly into Kanhoji Angre's coastal intelligence web, carries no document, no seal, no proof. Only words, breathless and urgent. Off Vengurla, beyond the monsoon haze, he has counted masts. Many masts. English, Dutch, Portuguese. Colors he has learned to read like weather. Anchored together. Waiting. The fortress of Vijaydurg receives this intelligence like a stone dropped into still water. Quietly, but with consequences that spread in every direction. The threat is vast, the information incomplete, and the margin for error is none. In the war rooms above the churning Arabian Sea, Kanhoji Angre must now decide how much he trusts a fisherman's eyes, and how little time remains. Inside the stone halls of Vijaydurg, torchlight throws restless shadows across the faces of Kanhoji's commanders. The air is thick with salt, lamp oil, and the particular desperation of men who can count their enemies, cannons. Two factions press against each other like opposing tides, the bold urging blood, the cautious urging retreat. Kanhoji listens. He lets the argument exhaust itself, the way a storm spends its fury before the real weather arrives. Then he speaks, and the room stills. Not battle, not flight, something older, colder, more patient. A trap woven from tidal charts, monsoon winds, and the loyalty of 10,000 eyes along the Konkan shore. Some commanders believe him immediately. Others believe him because they have no choice. All of them will follow. What he sets in motion now will determine whether the Arabian Sea remains Maratha or is lost forever. Then, without warning, the Maratha fleet simply vanishes. One morning the Arabian Sea holds nothing but silence and salt air. Kanhoji's commanders have scattered their vessels into the serpentine creeks of the Konkan coast, mangrove-shrouded anchorages charted in no European logbook, known only to pilots who have read these waters since childhood. Galbats and grabs slip beneath canopies of overhanging jungle, their hulls swallowed by shadow and tidal mud. Oars are stilled. Fires are extinguished. Even the pennants are furled. To the approaching alliance sailing northward in confident formation, their cannon primed and their charts confidently marked, the enemy has ceased to exist entirely, dissolved into the land itself like monsoon rain into dark earth. But the sea remembers where every ghost is hidden. August 1719. The Allied fleet moves like an iron wall through the coastal channel. 43 vessels, cannon-heavy and salt-crusted, their ensigns cutting the humid air above the Arabian Sea. English, Dutch, Portuguese. Old rivals sailing under a single, terrible purpose. The water here is shallow, treacherous, laced with hidden rock and tidal memory. But the European commanders do not know this coast the way the coast knows itself. They advance in disciplined formation, confident, their gun decks primed. And then, silence. No smoke from the ramparts of Vijaydurg. No war drums. No fleet of Maratha vessels rushing out to meet them. Only the slow lap of dark water against ancient stone, and the cry of a lone shearwater overhead. The commanders raise their telescopes. They see nothing. What they cannot see is everything. Midnight. The Arabian Sea holds its breath. Then, without warning, 3 points of orange light bloom on the black water. Fireships, tar-soaked and crewless, riding the current Kanhoji's fishermen mapped for months. The European captains wake to chaos. Signal horns scream across the fleet. The Portuguese galleon heaves hard to starboard, her helmsman blind to what lies beneath. A spine of submerged rock, patient and ancient, waiting like a trap long set. The hull shrieks. Timber splits. Kanhoji's war galleys surge from the darkness on both flanks, oars churning white foam, iron-tipped rams gleaming in the firelight. The sea is no longer neutral. It is his. Burning masts collapse into the waves. The coalition's careful alliance begins to fracture, but the night is not yet finished with its reckoning. Then Kanhoji Angre does what no admiral must do, and what only a legend dares. He leaps. Rope in hand, salt spray blinding, the Arabian Sea churning black beneath him, he crosses the gap between vessels, as though the ocean itself carries him forward. His men pour over the gunwale like a breaking wave, cutlass and fire meeting English steel on the rain-soaked deck. The flagship shudders. Lanterns swing wildly, casting lurching shadows across desperate faces. Smoke swallows the stars. At the helm, the English captain, bleeding, cornered, his command shattered around him, reaches for the halyard one final time. The flag descends. Silence, sudden and absolute, falls across the water. The iron tide has turned. But the alliance has not yet broken, and dawn will bring a reckoning none aboard have yet imagined. The Arabian Sea holds its breath. Smoke drifts across a pewter dawn, curling above the broken masts of the English flagship as she lists in the shallows off Vijaydurg. The Portuguese prize sits low in the water, her colors stripped, her silence a kind of surrender. Kanhoji Angre moves through the wreckage, not as a conqueror, but as a man who understands the cost of survival. He touches the salt-bleached wood of a captured hull. He watches his men tend their wounded with strips of cotton and coconut oil, their voices hushed beneath the crying of gulls. There is no celebration on this shore, only the slow, methodical arithmetic of war. What was lost? What was held? What was paid for in blood and tide? But the sea, patient and indifferent, is already carrying news southward. And in Bombay, in Lisbon, in Amsterdam, men are beginning to plan their answer. The monsoon has passed. In the salt-heavy air of Vijaydurg's great hall, candlelight catches the glint of brass seals and the slow scratch of quills on parchment. Representatives of 3 European empires, men who once commanded warships and dreams of dominance, sit across a low stone table from Kanhoji Angre. They wear defeat quietly, like damp wool. The terms are precise and unsparing. Tribute acknowledged, passage fees formalized, Maratha sovereignty over these waters made permanent in ink. No cannon fire, no battle cry, only the deliberate weight of a reed pen pressed into history. Kanhoji does not celebrate. He reads. He signs. The sea beyond the fortress walls breathes in slow, rolling swells, indifferent and eternal. But the empire these men represent is neither indifferent nor finished, and somewhere beyond the horizon, new fleets are already being commissioned. He stands at the parapet of Vijaydurg as the sun bleeds into the Arabian Sea, the salt wind pulling at his angarka, the smell of cannon smoke still clinging to the stone beneath his hands. Below, the teak hulls of his gurabs ride at anchor, scarred but unbroken. The fishermen who fed him intelligence return to their nets. The tide that carried his enemies to ruin now carries them away. Kanhoji Angre never lost a single engagement at sea in his lifetime, a record unmatched by any admiral of his age. Long after his death in 1729, the waters stretching from Bombay to Goa would carry his name in Konkan memory, spoken not as history, but as warning. He watches the horizon now, and somewhere beyond it, new ambitions are already gathering.